Incredible greetings. Hello, everyone. Incredible afternoon. If you're watching this live from the East Coast, incredible morning. If you're on all the other time zones, and if you happen to be watching this outside of February 8th, 2023 at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just incredible greetings. I am Shakia, the professor of HSINK365. We are the home of the amazing product line, honestly speaking, which we got some exciting stuff about that too. We are official too. It's some things that's going on. So it's some official things going on with the honestly speaking brand that I cannot wait to share. So we got that going on, but also the home of 365 Creative Academy, where we help you to unlock your creativity in a wide variety of classes centered around designing and creating, building a business around your creativity and your skills. So check that out. You can get information on our website with our paper and ink, shop.hsink365.com, or over on learn.365creativeacademy.com. All right. So that's a little bit about where you can find us at. I am your resident amazing, incredible silhouette studio instructor. I have been teaching you guys how to use this magnificent program Like don't get me wrong, it has its ups and downs. It has its moments where it can be very frustrating. A lot of that has to do with the system that you are using to operate it. Like it's very needy. It's especially in version 4, it became very, very needy in the resources that it needed to work optimally. But it's still really great to start off with. And because a lot of my audience are those who are starting out, and may not be able to invest in some of the more robust ones, because pretty much every last one of them is subscription based. Even Corel Draw now is subscription based. Before, that used to be one of the premier ones that you could get and just pay for it right out. But now it is subscription based, just like the Adobe suite is. And then you have Affinity, which is not subscription based. It's a one-time payment. They now have Affinity 2.0 or Affinity 2. Like it's a second version of it. I haven't looked into that to see what all the major differences are, but I do have Affinity. I'm just not, nothing against it. It works for some people. It just doesn't work for me. That's just like the whole Pepsi, Coke, Team Samsung, Team Apple. I am definitely Team Adobe. And a little bit of Corel Draw when it comes to that, but they all offer different things. But today's discussion is going to be on Photoshop and what it can do for you and your creative endeavors, your creative business, whether you are someone who wants to design for t-shirts, tumblers, graduation things, memorials, if you want to make stickers, if you want to create DTF, if you want to create banners, posters, party favors, invitations, it doesn't matter. All of those things start with some type of software where you can bring in text. You're going to bring in images, whether they are JPEG or PNG, or you're going to bring in elements that are SVGs. And programs like Photoshop allows you to actually create a lot of those things from scratch with things like brush tools, and you can create your own brushes or you can purchase brushes. There are so many layers to Photoshop, which is why it can be very intimidating for a lot of people. When you open it up, it's like a lot of tools along the side. You click on the windows. It's like windows on top of windows. There's panels on top of panels, and it can be completely overwhelming. It takes a long time to learn it because for Photoshop, it's kind of twofold, right? Traditionally, it is for photoshopping. We go and we see pictures of celebrities, and their faces look like they are flawless in person, but it's like, wait a minute, your thighs and your butt don't quite look like that, but in your pictures it looks like that, right? So photoshopping is a term for editing pictures, because people will still say photoshopping. Like, let's say if you do it in like Pixar or things like that, like people still call that, that picture was photoshopped, and they may not have used Photoshop. No one's going to say, oh, that picture was Affinity, or how would you say that? Even with Affinity Photo, if someone made adjustments to it, because you can definitely do that with Affinity, someone's going to say that picture was photoshopped. And that's what we normally think of when we think of Photoshop, is photo editing, photo correction, color correction, removing blemishes. So that's one part of it. And you will need to learn that part if you're trying to create those enhancements for your designs. Because as we all know, your clients are not going to give you ideal pictures every single time. There are going to be some times where it's like, man, what y'all want me to do with this? I'm not a miracle worker. I can't do nothing with this. Your arm is cut off. Your head is cut off. It's a big old flash. There's a lot of times they're just going to give you some stuff that's just jacked up. Sometimes it's about the resolution of it, or let's even say like how to edit that photo before you can put it in a design. And then, of course, it's the design part. A lot of people like to use it for designing, whether you are designing a flyer, advertisement, if you're designing specifically, let's say for your website, if you're designing for a t-shirt, tumbler, and you're creating these custom designs, there's that part of it as well. And so these tools can be the same tool can be used different ways depending on what you're using it for. That's why it's important. Well, at least for me, what I stand on is really setting a good foundation. A lot of people will say, hey, I want to learn how to design. I want to learn how to do this. But what most people want to do is skip over the foundational parts and really understanding what each tool does. In this creative space, I do find that we want to hurry up and get to it. But I come from the military where we hurry up and wait. So you really have to take the time to just take time to learn those tools, even before you apply it to any design, so that you understand how they work. And that is what is special about how I teach, is the foundationals. My cheerleaders, when I, with cheer coaching, they would see other teams kind of moving on and doing just go right into stunting. And I would tell them, I don't want you to get hurt. If you go and I just throw you guys into this, yes, that looks exciting to do all these flips and put someone in the air. But if you have someone's kid in the air and you don't know proper grips, you don't know your timing, you're not in sync with your other base, your back spot doesn't know what to do. If she falls, you can seriously hurt someone. So I'm always going to run drills. There are certain drills that we have to do 10 times before we move on to the next. And that is what I encourage my students to do when it comes to designing and with their business, is not just do something one time, but do it over and over and over again. Once you have done it and you've completed it, celebrate that. Yes, you finally did it. But that probably took you a really long time to accomplish. The next time you do the exact same file, not something different, the exact same file, and you are able to do it faster and quicker, faster. You might learn some few things that's going to cut some corners, but just make it where it's going to be easier for you. You're going to be even more proud when you can get that done you can get it done in less time. Because in this creative business, especially when you're doing customs, and some of you guys who haven't taken my trainings or who haven't taken heed to don't always reinvent the wheel, you want to give everybody this one-of-a-kind experience and give them one-of-a-kind designs at everybody has it prices. You have to really take advantage of time. Time is really money in our industry. And the faster you can get done with the design and actually apply it to whatever the media or whatever the substrate is, the faster you can move on to something else. So we really want to work on being very efficient in how we design. And how we do that is learn the basics and learn the foundations of it. In college, they don't go and take you to right to designing. You have a lot of foundational things. A graphics design degree can take you years because they start with the basics and the foundation. So if you are someone who values learning the foundations and learning properly and learning correctly so that you can be successful, then I'm your girl. Our platform is where you need to be. Our classes are where you need to be. If you are someone that just kind of wants to shoot for the moon and just kind of bypass everything, this channel may not be for you, because you may feel like it's going to move too slow, or our programs may not be for you. And that is okay. I just encourage you to find someone that fits your needs and you can learn from. All right. So as I said, we are going to get into some Photoshop. Who here is interested in learning Photoshop? By a show of y'all know, everything for us is 365, because our amazing sublimation paper allows you to sublimate as low as 365 degrees, as fast as 30 seconds. So we love the numbers 3, 6, 5, and 0 around here. So by show of threes, who is interested in learning Photoshop? Yes, they are. Well, they were. I haven't coached in a while. Well, because of the pandemic, I didn't coach this year, but yes, they were. They were amazing. All right. So we got a couple of threes going on. Oh, they gave us the full 365 right here. A lot of threes in this one. Let's see. Incredible afternoon. Hey, just say hello, 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 everyone. I still use Photoshop 7. Look, that's one of the things about Photoshop. It worked back then. It can still work now. Like, great programs are timeless. Like for me, for Silhouette Studio, oh honey, no one could ever tell me anything bad about Silhouette Studio version 3.6. It is still my preferred version. It is what's on my laptop and what I will design with in a heartbeat, because version 4 be tripping sometimes. Let's see. Incredible morning. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys for jumping on. Hey, Dean. Thank you for that one. Hello, hello, hello. All right. So we got a couple of threes. Three, but I don't have two monitors. So it's not that, okay. So let's talk about, I was going to wait to talk about the class, but since that question came up, we got a couple of threes over here as well. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Now, if you guys have, if you're able to kind of, add a little more little seasoning on it. What is it about Photoshop that you feel like you need to learn it because it's going to give you something different than whatever program you're using now? What is that you think that it offers that something like another program doesn't? Okay, so while you guys answer that, our recommendation is that you have two monitors. Only reason why I say, like, if you're trying to follow along with any type of learning, you would need it. Like, if you're watching a YouTube video, you're going to need to watch that on a different device so that on your computer you can do it. Either that, or you're going to have to watch that video, pause it, drop it down, go over to Photoshop or whatever design program you're working in, go ahead and do that. We do stream it, but if you watch it from the stream and try to follow along, you're going to end up being behind because the stream is going to be a few beats behind. So when I go and say, hey, do you have a question? If you're still working through it, I might move on from that particular section. So if you are trying to follow along, like in the class, and go step for step, then yes, I highly recommend a second monitor, but it's not required. You can always watch the live session, which, to be honest, you will get more out of watching the replay than trying to do it in the live session because we are on a limited time. It's not like, we're in college. It's not like we're meeting every single day to where we can kind of sort of take our time and just go one piece by one piece, click for click, and wait for everyone to click for click. I will be very honest in saying this is not going to be necessarily a click for click to wait for everyone because I can't see you guys. I don't really know what you're doing and we can't be on there all day. It's 8 sessions. This is not an everyday thing like it would be, or maybe like every other day if you were in college for this. So you're going to learn more from the replays. You're not going to be able to go into this live session and say, all right, I took this session. I've mastered this one part of it. You're going to have to go back and watch it. You're going to have to go back and practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and just do it repetitively over and over and over again. So you don't need to have two monitors, but it's just if you want to see it side by side, you want to be able to look at your screen as I'm doing it. Two monitors are, it's recommended for anyone that's in business. Even when I'm designing, right? I like to have two monitors. I'll have certain elements on one screen, or like, let's say business stuff on one screen, and I'm designing. So just naturally in this business, two monitors is definitely key. My husband actually just got a second monitor for his laptop. Is one that just kind of hooks onto the side, you fold it back, because even when you're doing financials and stuff like that for your business, you want to be able to have those two screens. So if you are someone that's trying to start a business, please invest in a second monitor. You need one. Anyone that is trying to do any sort of business, you need a second monitor. Like, that's a non-negotiable. So if you split your screen, you're only going to see half of it. So when you go and you're seeing stuff move around and you're looking at it in this small screen and having to either zoom in or zoom out, it's not effective either. So I don't necessarily recommend trying to split your screen. I've had several students that tried to do that and it just doesn't work out. And they will say, I'd rather just watch. You still have every opportunity to answer questions for ask questions for anything that you don't quite understand so that it's on the recording. But split screen doesn't always work because you are compacting it and you're not going to see all of the functions on the Zoom screen when I'm sharing my screen and also on your program. Let's find out. Oh, husband. Even. Can you come in real quick? Someone has a question for you. Monique Cole wants to know, do you like your clip-on monitor?
Yeah.
Why you pause like that? Because I was just talking about it.
Oh yeah, it's fine. It does what it's supposed to do.
I don't think she can hear you. Talk a little louder.
It's fine. It does what it's supposed to do.
He says it's fine. It does what it's supposed to do. Okay. Bye-bye. All right. So let's see. I'm trying to decide between Photoshop or Zelle to replace Cricut. Both. To be honest, Silhouette Studio is absolutely free. Like, it is one of the only design softwares where you can use edit points, like, which is basically the same or equivalent of the nodes that you get from a pen tool, where you can do a lot of like transparencies. You can create warp text and things. Like, you can do that from the free system. Aligning things, text, adding text effects, well, the shadows, I mean, you still need offsetting and stuff, but Silhouette Studio is a 100% free. So that is where I started from. And I highly recommend it for anyone to start off learning the fundamentals of graphic designing without having to invest in a program where you're paying for it monthly. So definitely start off with Silhouette Studio, but as you're going to see here, there's certain things that Photoshop offers that you won't be able to do in Silhouette Studio directly. Now, I can create those same effects in Silhouette Studio, but I'm going to need some help from PNGs and things like that. Whereas with Photoshop, you can kind of create it right in there. This is why we end up purchasing a lot of files. And even though I know Photoshop, there are certain things. Oh, pause. Let's just talk about that real quick. Just because you learn Photoshop, I hear it and I see it so many times. I want to learn Photoshop because I'm tired of buying files and buying da 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 da. It might be a couple years from now to where you'll be able to go in there and create everything from scratch. But even with creating from scratch, it is still always something that you're going to have to buy. There's might be a brush set that you need to buy. Until you get to the point where you know how to change gradients to make metallic effects, you might purchase layer styles. So you're just going to trade purchasing full on designs for purchasing elements, brushes, effects. You might still need a JPEG, a PNG from somewhere, and you're going to modify that. It takes a lot of time to create these things. And if designing is not your main business, to where your business is to create designs for others and exclusively that, if you're trying to design and also apply it to a shirt, make stickers, glue chip bags, you're going to want to be more efficient with your time. So you're going to get a lot of elements, and it's going to be searching for elements to bring them in. If you are not an artiste and you can draw out everything, there's going to be some foundational and some base images that you're still going to have to purchase. So if your goal in learning Photoshop is so that you don't have to purchase files anymore, don't try to learn Photoshop, because I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news with everyone saying, oh, y'all better learn this so you can stop buying files. That's a bold-faced lie. I'm here to be honest with you. You are still going to spend money on elements. You are still going to spend money on fonts, unless you like the little DeFont stuff. I don't, but you're still going to spend out money on certain things. So just to let you know. It allows me to do more adjustments to pictures or fix parts or add and take people out. I need to learn how to do it and make the results look better and natural. Photoshop is a free Photopea is a free version of Photoshop. I mean, some people like that one. All right, so we answered those. All right, so let's see. I'm missing some stuff over here. I'm trying to work through Silhouette Studio, and that's perfectly fine. Don't feel like you have to. That's what I said. We're going to talk about what does it offer over others, and if you really need it. That is the purpose of this live, and I got to get into it because my class starts at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want, like I just saw someone says, if you want your seat, you can head over to the website, then come right on back and sign up for it. That way you can make sure that you get the class, and then you are able to be in the Zoom at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So the course is $250. Well, I'm going to say course. I call them programs and trainings. So the program, it's an 8-week program. It is $250 for it. There is an option to pay for it weekly if you do it through the Academy site. But if you go through our shop.hsink365 site, there is a $250 fee if you're paying for it straight out with your own debit or credit card. If you're doing any buy now, pay later, such as Zelle or Shop Pay, there is a separate one for that. It's $300 if you're doing it that way. It makes the designs look enhanced. Oh, really? So I have a question for you. Let's look at this one right here. Does this look enhanced? Would you like, I mean, if you like the City Girls, but just overall, like, is this something that you would like to be able to design? What about this one? All right. Does that look enhanced? Does that look good? Let me know. Put a 6 if these two designs, this one and this one. Put a 6 if it looks good to you. Let me see a 6 if those two look good to you. Oh, shoot. Matter of fact, what about this side? Does this look good to you? I'm going to show it all. All the little details at the bottom. All of that, right? So let me see. Do we have some? Okay, we got some 6s over here. Let's see over here. We got some 6s. Y'all do know 1, 2, and 3 were all done in Silhouette Studio. That is not Photoshop in any way, shape, or form. So it's not about the program that's going to make it look enhanced at all. It's about understanding tomorrow's class, foundations of designing, and what you have to do, and having a great eye for design so that no matter what program you create it in, it looks absolutely incredible. So Photoshop does not enhance your designs. It can make certain tasks easier to do. And then there are some things that's just downright frustrating about Photoshop and and its interface. But this right here, the way the colors are on the, because this was an actual picture of the clock tower at Howard and adding the blue overlay. Being able to put the Jumpman, being able to get this, being able to put the halftone spots on it, having the ripped paper effect and having that effect on it on the top and bottom. All that is Silhouette Studio. This right here, this whole design, setting up the boxes, cropping colors to it, cropping images to it, putting the offset, all Silhouette Studio. Right here, of course, I had to bring in a halftone PNG, but setting that up and the megaphone, I just did a video on how I created that megaphone because it was actually split in half. The name there was a bunch of offsets, had my fade bar, which of course that was created in Photoshop, but you can still do things in Silhouette Studio, okay? It's just learning about the foundations of designing. Thank you. Let's see. I missed some stuff up here. Let me go back. So good afternoon. Is this Photoshop a lot different from the last one you did? It is, in the fact that now with classes, instead of trying to, give you guys what you thought you wanted and having one class, I had all this stuff kind of like into it. We're able to really break it down and section it off and take it step by step. A lot of it is going to be because I mean, you really don't change what's the essentials and what's the fundamentals of text and your layer mask and cloning and text or layer effects, blend modes, opacities, just magic wands. Like, so we're still going to get all that, but we're going to literally break it down. And at the end of this, in the first one, we did not do any designing. The last 2 sessions is going to be us designing together, because by then you probably won't need to look at what I'm doing so much, because we're going to know where these tools are at. We're going to know what the functions are. So even if I just walk you through it verbally and you can hear the sound of my voice, you can have your Photoshop screen open and you're going to be able to do certain things and click in certain places and create it without looking at my screen. So that is the goal by the time we get to the last 2 sessions. Some of the files I get from Creative Fabrica or some projects at my school have me work on, they're mainly based off Photoshop and being able to work in Photoshop and understanding the tools a lot better. Yeah. It seems you can make the same designs in Silhouette, but in Photoshop, it looks enhanced. Yeah. Some people feel that way. Yes, I love having 2 monitors. You were spot on with saying we need another monitor. Yep, I watch it first without doing anything, and then I rewatch it, take notes. That's what works for me. Yep, split screen does not work. Do you use desktop or did you get the double screen? So I have 2 monitors for my desktop. My husband has the clip-on for his laptop. Yes, you can watch from your iPad and work with me on screen. You can do it that way as well. It's just that if you ever have any questions, you won't be able to share your screen for me to see what you're doing, because that means you're going to have to log into the Zoom on your iPad. And hopefully you are someone that can still see stuff on your iPad and don't feel like it's too small. I have a huge monitor too, but I still don't like split screen. Let's see. I have my seat. Awesome. Yes, I did in Select Studio. Thank you. Okay, so let's get into this, y'all. Let's go ahead, share our screen. Let me flip y'all around and let's talk a little bit about Photoshop and whether or not you need it and what its advantages over other programs, and some of the limitations. So we're going to go ahead and flip to the other screen. What happened here? Okay, there we go. And let me flip y'all around, and then I have to turn. What the heck happened? I froze. Whoa. All right, hold on. My phone lost its signal. All right, don't know what happened. Can I post a link to what? The course? It's in the description of the video. So it's there, or if you've ever purchased any of our ink and paper, it's right there, shop.hsink365.com. You can go straight there, but it's in the description of the video. It's actually easier to get to because you're watching over on YouTube. All right, I have no idea what happened here. All right, so let's go back live. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened with my phone before. Okay, so yeah, that's the site. This is the Photoshop Essentials class. This is the foundation of designing. And you can take them both at the same time because they're going to offer different things. Photoshop Essential is meant to go through each tool and really break down what it does. This is really teaching you design concepts and you can see here, well, if you look at the bottom, it says Silhouette Studio and a little bit of Photoshop, because I want to teach you about layout, composition, arrangement, how to cut, like gathering inspiration for your designs, combining different things. So they are different because one focuses on actually designing and the other one is actually learning the program or learning the software. Okay. So let's go over here to Photoshop, right? So we're here, right? This is what it's going to look like when you open it up. And so just a quick little tour on here. If you are someone that wants to save, so you do have kind of like how Silhouette Studio has like its cloud. There's a cloud-based storage and you're basically storing it on the Creative Cloud. And that's what a lot of these particular designs are on here, are ones that were just saved to the Creative Cloud. But you can also, you also will have files in your computer. So this just kind of gives you a snapshot of like recent files that you have worked on and things like that. So you can either open, you can start a new file or you can open a file. Excuse me, you go to open a file. This is where like I'm seeing my Photoshop files that are actually on my computer. And when I say on my computer, I personally don't save anything directly to my computer because they will betray you. They can crash. You can lose all of your information. You should have a backup of your backup of your backup. So I use what's called a WD My Cloud. I also use a little bit of Dropbox and Google Drives and stuff like that. Shoot, I still have some stuff on USBs, especially if it's something that I want to make sure I have in multiple locations in case anything ever happens. I've learned to not store important things all in one spot, but that's a story for another day. So these are my Silhouette files. At some point here, we're going to get to where some of the Photoshop files are. Okay, come on. All right. Did I go past the Photoshop section? I think I probably did. Hold on, let's see. Oh, I probably did go past the Photoshop section. Do I have Photoshop stuff? Oh, I don't know if I have a lot of stuff on this one. Let's go to business one. Oh yeah, see, it's under my business drive. So it's some Photoshop stuff here. It's some in some other places and like a couple other drives. So you can go and put them either on your quote unquote hard drive. So when it says to your computer, you can save it. You don't have to save it directly to your computer. You can save it onto a cloud drive. Hey, over here on TikTok, can you guys still hear me over here? Because I had to close it out and then come back in, but I don't see anything now. I see people coming in. So if you guys can go ahead, wave, say hi, let me know if you guys are actually able to hear me over on TikTok, or maybe tap the screen and take the likes up if you can hear me. All right, so we're going to go ahead and cancel that out. And I'm just going to go to new file, right? This is so important when it comes to Photoshop. And this is a part that's really different than Silhouette Studio, because Silhouette Studio, Affinity Designer, Illustrator, CorelDRAW, they are vector-based programs. You're not going to see pixels. So you can set this up. You're just not going to see pixels in those particular softwares because they don't have them. Like it is just kind of like your design page size. And once, of course, you save it as an SVG, there's a certain DPI that you will save it at. But this kind of tells you how many pixels. And with Photoshop, or with pixels, should I say, the more pixels a file has, the better you can rescale it, because now the design is split up amongst a bunch of little pieces. So now those little squares, they have more, like you have more room to expand them. If you only have a few pixels and your design is within those few, as you scale it up, this is where your distortion comes from. Okay. So it is very important when you are starting to create your design that you start off with a pretty decent size canvas, depending on what you are designing for. So here at the top, it's going to be a lot of suggestions. And as you can see, there's photo, there's print, there's art and illustration. Are you designing for the web? Are you designing for mobile? Are you designing for film and video? And each one of these will give you different resolutions and different setups and things like that. Because if it's not something for, so if we go over here to like mobile and web, you're going to see things like 72 DPI because it's meant to see, is meant to be viewed on a device that has a smaller screen. So it does not need to be blown up. This is why we'll sometimes see things on our phone, or clients will send us files and it looks great on our phones. But the moment we bring it into a computer that has a decent sized monitor, or you're zooming in or you're scaling it up, the picture looks like crap because it was designed with only 72 pixels. And it was ideal for a small format viewing, like viewing window, small format monitor. So now we go over here to illustration, and we're talking about things that we know that might be printed out. Anything that's going to be printed, we want that to be designed in a larger pixel format. This is going to make it a larger file, but you have to identify how you're actually going to design it. Okay. And then with print, you're going to see a lot of the 300 DPI because that is print. Photos, kind of the same thing because most times it's going to be printed out. Now, certain photo files, you can, again, design them where it's a lower resolution if it is something that's going to be just digital content. So a lot of people ask about Canva. Canva has a very limited DPI output. And that's why sometimes when people create in that particular program, if it's blown up, you end up with distortion because it only outputs in a certain DPI. Okay. Oh, thank you guys for letting me know you can hear me. I was worried. Okay. And then these are some of the recent ones that I did. So you want to, choose your width. You can choose to do it by inches. Like if you know what you're designing for specifically. I was working on posters, and those posters are 18 by 24. So I can put it in as inches, and then my pixels change. The size of it changes depending on how many pixels it is. And I'm going to get into that in class where we're going to do the math. And so if you're looking at something, right, and it says that it is 900 by 728 pixels, right, you'll be able to figure out exactly how big that is, depending on if it is 72 DPI, 100, 300, things like that. So this is where you kind of set that at. And certain things like for your websites, website banners, they're going to give you the pixel part of it. Just be sure that you are on pixels. If there's a recommendation to design it in a certain size, you do want to be on those pixels instead of inches or centimeters or millimeters or points and things like that. So these are all different depending on the type of what are you designing. So a lot of artists and things like that will use this one. So these kind certain regions, they design and they measure more in centimeters or millimeters. So they need to have that. So this can be intimidating. People are like, well, which one do I choose? If you're in the US, you're pretty much going to use inches or pixels. And then, of course, in your resolution, whether or not you're doing RGB or CMYK, RGB is like how your monitor sees it, red, green, blue. CMYK is like how a lot of printers are printed out. So cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. But that's really important for like processing. It is different. We're going to kind of explore that in the class. You're going to be able to see how an image changes and the colors change. You get richer colors with RGB versus CMYK. As far as on the monitor, it definitely changes and it can look muted. So you have to understand what it is you're trying to create for which color mode you want to be in. If you know it's going to be viewed on monitors and screens and stuff like that, you really want to design. For me, a lot of the things I do is in RGB, unless I know that I'm going to send it to an offset printer, or if I'm going to do like with screen printing so that it can easily be, the channels can be separated. So then transparent, or not, you want a colored background. I pretty much always start with transparent because you can always add a colored background to it, but some people choose to start off with a specific one. So that's just kind of a quick rundown of like this screen here. We're just going to go ahead and hit create so we can get into this screen. What are some of the advanced, actually, I didn't mean to do that. I actually meant to open up one of my designs because that's how we're going to kind of, do this. I'm going to open up, let's just do, let's see, what file do I want to open up? Okay, let's do this one. Let's do, I will show you like my class thumbnails, right? So the one thing I love about Photoshop is they introduce artboards. So you can kind of create different things, you can create for different sizes. If you are someone that wants to design, let's say for a shirt, a tumbler, a mug, kind of at the same time, you can have artboards that are made to those size templates. And then you can use smart objects. So once you bring in one, like it'll like, especially you have that same smart object on that other artboard, as you change one, it's going to change on the other. So Photoshop can make it easier for you if you're doing multiple substrates, but kind of with the same design elements. That's where it becomes key in designing for things like that. In Silhouette Studio, I have to maneuver things around and change them around for each different like template. There are advantages and disadvantages to that. But I love the fact that Photoshop introduced artboards into the fold, because artboards were more so for the vector side of it, which was Illustrator. So with this, like, I love layer styles, right? If you have like a template and, you have, let's say, a Barbie theme, that you're working on, and a lot of people love it, and all you want to do is just change out the name. Graduation season is upon us, and everyone, that's going to be a big season for creatives. If you want to create a design and, you have like the school, or you want to just kind of, like, let's say it's like a fan, right? And you want to just change out the picture, you want to change out the school name, you want to change out the graduate's name, but keep it all the same. Photoshop is great for that because your layer styles will make it to where all you have to do is double click on it, and HSINK365, all you have to do is just retype it, and it's going to have all of those elements. If you put a shadow on it, an offset, if you embossed it, if you put a color overlay, a gradient overlay, if you put a satin overlay over, like whatever it is, it's going to have that. And all you have to do is just change out the name. There are things, we're not going to get into it in essentials, because to me, smart colors are not not really the foundational one. Like you can do some things without having like smart colors. Smart objects, different story. So you want to be able to learn like your layer styles and how to apply those, because that's going to make your life a lot easier when it comes to designing. So that's one of the key things about Photoshop is it stores those elements, right? Hold on. Do I have to create another account for 365 Creative or just, so once you purchase it, it automatically creates an account on the Creative Academy. You're going to get an email to complete it. But yes, they are two separate systems. The HS Inc. website and the Creative Academy are two totally different systems, but you can purchase your class from HS Inc. 365's website, and it will automatically create an account on the Academy site. But you can't just go to it and put in your password. You are going to get an email, and you must go through that email to set your password. I have Silhouette silhouette and do not know how to use it at all. So you want to start with our Essentials to Silhouette Studio. That's going to be the first place that you start. And then we have a lot of design class if you want to design for something particular, specifically like memorial or vector, or for chip bags, or for graduation like stoles, or you can enroll in the Foundation of Designing and kind of get a quick glimpse of just designing in general. Hey, Lamont, how are you? All right, so that's one of the key things with it, is being able to do stuff like that. I don't know if I know which one that was. Man, I'm trying to find, do I have one that is, it was already open. My thumbnail was already open. I was trying to show, let's see, let's go to open, but I don't know if, I don't think I combined this one. I think it's the other one that I have. Oh, here it is right here. Oh man, hold on. It's opening up the other one. So I wanted to kind of show the two different artboards and the fact that they have the same exact image. And they're like smart objects, but I'm going to open that after this one opens up. But there are things like blend modes. So I'm not sure if you can see, but like his image back here, being able to put a green overlay over it, but also to be able to do things like either screen or multiply or hard light, vivid light, luminosity. Like it's different blend modes that's going to give you different effects on them. So like right here, right now it's on screen. If I were to take this and turn it to darken, it's going to interact with the background that is behind it, and it's going to change the way it looks. So this is the normal look of it. Even if I were to take this up to the full opacity, so that's how it would look normally. And then once you go in, and if you do like dissolve, it's just going to we'll go darken. I don't know why the dissolve, it only gives like these little pixels. So we go multiply. You see how it's interacting with the background. Color burn, linear burn, darker color, lighten, and it's taking out some of those darker areas. So around his neck, it looks a little funky. I didn't change my opacity. I know you guys probably can't fully see it, but in here, I can still see the background. So when I went to darker color, it's focusing in on some of those darker ones, and those stayed, but the lighter parts, I now can see the background. So your blend modes just kind of changes and gives you different effects. So when you're looking at flyers and you see kind of like those light flares or why things are highlighted, it's your blend modes. And you can't do that in programs like Silhouette Studio or Illustrator, or ones that don't have blend modes. Affinity is one that's a little bit unique because even the designer has Photoshop features because you have layer styles in Affinity Designer. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you do have some blend modes in Affinity Designer. So Affinity Designer, although it's a vector-based program, it does have a lot of Photoshop features. So if we go to overlay, you see how that blends in. And then if you combine that with kind of dropping your opacity down some, it can give you a different look. Okay. So with Photoshop, if you're thinking that Photoshop is a kind of plug and play system, it definitely is not. If you're looking for a plug and play system, I don't encourage you to learn it because it's definitely not. To get certain looks, it still is a lot of trial and error. You're going to play around with different levels. You're going to play around with mixing different things. It's going to sometimes be to where you will go through every single blend mode to find the look that you were actually going for. Look at difference in how the original image is black and white, but putting it on that green background, it gave me a purple. If I were to change, go back to difference. If I were to change the color overlay, actually, I'm just gonna even turn my color overlay off right now. His clothing changed, right? So this right now is the original image. It has blue and all that stuff, but his school colors are green. So Photoshop allows you to edit or Photoshop that. Oh, that makes it look dirty down here now. Look at, oh my gosh. Like, I'm not sure if you guys can see that. Like, I hate saying that because he's on the screen, but knowing what's effective combinations is important. Now, if you wanted this kind of grunge, rusty look, I mean, this is a great color combination and you want to write things like this down. But man, look at how that changed it and how this looks right here. All right. So right now I'm going to turn that color overlay. So I'm now able to make that match his school colors by making that background green instead of it being blue. Now, if I go over here to my color overlay and I change that to, I'm just going to pick so now you see how well, we did blue already, how his clothes interact. If I make that red, we're back at being like greens. So I'm just going to kind of move this up and down. Now that looks more of like a reddish tone. We have the purple, we have more, I'm in the yellow, but this now looks more bluish. So oh, I kind of like that one. As you are adjusting it, it's going to give you different colors because it interacts with the background. All right, so I'm just going to hit cancel on that. We're going to hit cancel on that. This right here is one of the things that can be, when you're coming from other, oh, I'm on the wrong one. Hold on. When you're coming from other programs, one of the things that was a learning curve. Look at how that one looks. That was a learning curve for me. And we're just going to go back to screen and then we're going to drop our opacity. So look at the difference in that opacity up, even though I can, even with it all the way up on screen, I can see a little bit of my background, but it makes that to where it's too strong. Foundations of designing will teach you about how to soften or make it more appealing to the eye, how to have a focal point and not have things compete with each other too much on screen. So by taking down our opacity on this, it softens it, but it still makes an impact. Thank you, love. All right. So here's one of the things that drives me absolutely bonkers about Photoshop. How you have to click on 30,000 different things to get to certain places, right? So in Silhouette Studio, if I wanted to change the color of this 3, well, it's kind of not the same. Because I mean, if I want to change the color of this 3, like I can click on here and then I'm going to click on the color and then you have to remember to hit like, okay, right? So it's not too bad in here, but if it was something where you had to do a color overlay on, right? So this, I originally started this design in Silhouette Studio. I had already converted it to Path, so I couldn't remember what font this was. And I didn't feel like going through Photoshop's fonts because it's not like Silhouette Studio. I'll show you that one real quick too. So I'm going to click on here. I'm going to type out HSINK365. Well, actually, let's do that on a clean one, right? So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go HSINK. I said HSINK365. I could have sworn I deleted the rest of y'all, but okay, I guess not. All right, there it is. And I'm just going to make this bigger. So when it comes to adjusting something, right? In Silhouette Studio, let's see, what do I have on this screen? Okay, I have nothing. Perfect. I can come over here. I'm going to type it out, HSINK 365. We only got 3 minutes left. My class starts in like 3 minutes. We're going to start here and see how I can click on this, right? All those click on it. I have my box. I can go in and resize this, right? I can go right to my color palette. I click on it. And as soon as I click on it, I change it. I click off. Whereas in Photoshop, you can't just click on it. If you click on it, all you can do is move it. You cannot resize this like that. You have to do, well, I like to do them as keyboard shortcuts because it's easier, but you have to go into free transform. So if I go Control T, I now, can get rid of, well, first let me get rid of, oh, come on, all this extra space behind there. Oh, well, I don't know why you want to get rid of it. So we're just going to take this up. So I can either go into Control T, cancel. see, Control T. And now I'm going to resize it, right? So we have to do an extra step, right? That was one of the things that was kind of annoying to me. Like, I just want to click on it and I want to adjust it. You have to know how to get in and out of these adjustments with Photoshop, right? Then when it comes to the fonts, like me being able to click on here and being able to, oh, my phone's going to go dead. Just in like how I kind of scroll through certain things. Let's look up Rockwell bold. And then like if I go back here, it's at the top, right? But it doesn't go like to Rockwell bold on here. So let's say I wanted something closer to that, or I'm going through my fonts and I wanted to start back in that area. It doesn't give it to you on the list. When I tell y'all, that drive me crazy. Whereas with Silhouette Studio, if I were to go here, I'm going to go over to my fonts. I'm going to make this Rockwell, and then click there. If I click back on it, I'm going to drop back down to Rockwell because maybe I was going through my fonts and I had those, and now I want to look at something else. Like, this is one of the things that I love about Silhouette Studio. So when I was designing it, I did my text over here and I couldn't remember what it was because I'd already converted it and whatnot. So for this particular one, right, this is not text. It's actually just a JPEG because I saved it as a JPEG. Actually, I saved it as a PDF and then open it up in Silhouette so it was still sharp lines. So this one, I can't just go up to the text to fill it in with color. Without it being a selection, I can't really like fill it in with color either. So that's when we're using like our color overlays. So for me to do that as a color overlay, I have to click on the color overlay, right? I have to make sure that I'm on the one that says color overlay and it's actually in this window because sometimes you'll open it up and it won't be on the window. So you got to make sure that you're in that window. Once you're in this window, you have to then click on the color. That's going to open up where you select your color at. And then you're going to go in and select it and da-da-da-da-da-da. Then you have to hit OK on here. You have to hit OK on here to get back to over here. When I tell y'all the first time, I was like, this is driving me absolutely bonkers. There's too many steps. There's too many windows. They have to be open. I want to click, fill, and move on. So that's why for me, I always say some things are easier. I create design concepts in Silhouette Studio all the time. And when I want to, as someone said, enhance it by adding pictures, and like this smoke right here is not something that was created in Photoshop. I purchased that PNG. Now I'm able to bring that in over here. I can add a layer mask on it to blend it off some. I can add a color overlay on it. I can add drop shadows where it's going to have softer and it's not a vector shadow. So it's little things like that, being able to easily go in. Right now, this 2023, I didn't have to permanently cut this part away, right? So right here, all right, we're at 102. Hold on, let me let my students in. Oh, shoot. Start meeting. We have always give a 10-minute grace period, but I'm going to wrap this up. But I did not have to permanently delete this part away. Why are you not moving now? The heck is going on? Hold on. Okay, there we go. All right. So I'm going to move. Okay, why are you not moving, baby? Why are you not moving? Don't know what's going on, but it ain't moving. All right, I guess it says, look, that's enough for y'all. We got to get to the class. Ooh, watching from Kenya. Thank you for watching. while that's figuring itself out, question, how do we order from you? Me and my son is about to do graduation. Honey, I don't care the cost. I want you to design our stuff. So if it's on the design side, you can send an email to info@HSINK365prints. HSINK365prints. You're going to send an email to that email address and someone will get back with you. We'll contact you to find out what your needs are, let you know what the process is, what the cost is going to be, and then we'll go from there. But info@HSINK365prints.com is how you get in contact with me for designs. Okay, so let me go over here real quick. I'm trying to see now. What the heck is something else open? Do I have another window open? Because why are you not clicking on nothing? I don't have another window open. Like I thought maybe I had a smart object open, but I don't. So I don't understand why it ain't doing nothing. What the heck is going on here? It ain't letting me do nothing. Okay, I gotta go, y'all. I'm gonna have to try and continue this at another time because I now have to restart this to be ready for my class. So as much as I would like to continue to be on here and help y'all, I have to now reset this because it's doing something funky and I got class and I can't afford it to not be messing up during class. So I will do my best to come on and give you guys some quick gems on Photoshop and like re-talk about the whole layer mask and removing that part. Yeah, don't know what just happened there. Now it just jumped over here. But I will go through that part of it and give you guys some little quick gems, especially based off of like how I create my thumbnails. This lovely little thing that you guys see in the corner here, no matter if it's on my screen or if the picture's on me, this right here, this actually can be done in Silhouette Studio or Photoshop. I know you guys can't see it. Yeah, it's doing some funky stuff over here. That can be done in either software. And I'll share how you do that to where it is in that section. So how do you create it to where when I turn that layer, that overlay on and off, it doesn't cover me and it's only in that particular area? Those are design techniques, and there's certain things you have to know about how to set it up and how to save it so that you can do things like that. If you want to create that as an overlay for your pictures and stuff, right? So how to create an easy overlay where it has your logo, your watermark on it, and it's going to be in a specific area. And you can use like on your phone, like whatever editing app you use. Like I like to use PixArt when I take pictures on my phone and to add my watermarks. And I just have one little picture. I have a single picture and I also have a frame. I can put that frame on it, resave it, and it's ready to go out. So there's certain ways that you design those things. And I will have to talk about that in another live because it's time to get to class. But hopefully the little bit that you did get was informative for you guys. If you are interested in taking our Essentials to Photoshop program, it is an 8-week program. And the last 2 weeks we are going to design. My goal is that by the time we get to that those last 2 weeks, you won't even have to worry about a split screen. If I say you're going to click on da-da-da to get da-da-da, you'll be able to do it and not see my screen at all. And you can just do it off of the sound of my voice. That is the goal for the last 2 weeks. If that's something that you're interested in, head over to the website and sign up. The cost is $250. If you're doing buy now, pay later, it is $300. You can go to our Academy site and you can pay for it weekly if you aren't able to do the whole thing all at once. But you do pay a little bit more when you're paying for it weekly, all right? So I shall talk to you guys later. Until next time, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity, be incredible, and go get you some Honesty Speaking products. Peace.